some lessons learned in the first year or so of flying. Some face plants, accidents, broken prop, landing out, hole in the wing, and not realizing the changing weather. Hopefully this video will save you from making similar mistakes. Lesson 1. Always do a good pre-flight safety check, every time, before a flight, even after a failed launch. When I fell during a failed launch, the small carabiner on my cage netting came loose. I didn't do a thorough pre-flight safety check, and when I throttled up before the next launch, had a prop strike. No more flying for the day, and ordered a new prop and a backup. Lesson 2. There is no one-size-fits-all when it comes to launching. And what I mean by this is that I was looking for a surefire, successful way I could launch every time, to get the muscle memory of bringing the wing up, when to throttle up, when to lean back. But the problem is that what you do for a nil wind launch is totally different than what you do for a 4 to 5 mile per hour wind launch. And the wind conditions are never exactly the same, so each launch is different to some extent. I have a strong tendency to run left, and my paramotor torques left. So I make a concerted effort to run straight so the wing will come up straight. In nil wind launches, you don't have much input from the brakes, so you have to start to throttle and kite while you keep your hands up because you don't want to stall the wing. Also in nil wind launches, you have to run as fast as you can from the very beginning to get the wing up and keep running and barely pull any brake to get off the ground. We trained at the beach, but often fly inland, so nil wind launches were challenging. But it's the best time to fly when the wind is calm. I think just overall letting go of the idea of trying to find a one-size-fits-all, tried and true way of always doing the same thing, muscle memory to launch, it was a stumbling block for me. And so once I let go of that, it helped me to launch more successfully. Lesson 3, don't make mistakes with new equipment. I had installed a new throttle that uses my ring and pinky finger to throttle up instead of my index finger, so I switched the fingers holding the brakes. When doing a reverse launch, I accidentally let go of the brake when releasing my A's with my right hand because I wasn't used to holding the brake with my right index and middle finger. In retrospect, I should have killed the motor, but I thought I could save the launch and tried to reach the brake with my right hand. As I did this, I accidentally throttled up. The wing collapsed, lines got in the prop, and the prop made a hole in the wing before I could kill it. Made for a very sucky morning of removing the prop, getting lines out, and then having to send the wing off for repair. Lesson 4. Be aware of the weather changing from what is forecast. A caveat to this is to anticipate rotor. An evening not long ago, a group of us went for what the weather predicted to be a calm winds flight. Normally, I would fly about 30 minutes out to the coast and 30 minutes back, but luckily about 10 minutes into the flight, I spotted my friend doing a tandem and turned to get some footage.
Oh wow! There's a 16 mile per hour headwind! I turned around to head back to the airport. I'm like barely moving. My Skyfly app is telling me it's a 17 mile per hour headwind. Guess I'm still doing 17. Well, I'm glad I put 5 liters of fuel in.
Looking around, I saw flags below that were flapping much more than normal. I was constantly thinking about where I could land out if needed, but I was making progress and I knew I had enough fuel to make it back to the LZ. 2 things I didn't completely consider was the wind pushing me towards the flight path of landing aircraft and the rotor over the trees as I got lower. I should have taken this approach up higher and over the trees, but instead went to the right and was too low and started getting some strong lift and sink.
Oh my gosh, I'm getting so rocked!
To the point I decided I needed to land right there immediately, safely.
Okay, I'm safely on the ground. Woo!
Also noticed that despite the way my wing was laid out after landing, the wind still picked it up a bit. If you are landing in very windy conditions, you need to think about how you're going to land and disable the wing so you don't get dragged. Luckily here I landed through the rotor and the trees were blocking most of the wind at this point. Please leave comments and let me know your lessons learned and experiences. My goal is to make this super fun sport as safe as possible for everyone who has a burning desire to get into the air. Thanks for watching.